It is time to switch careers, folks. A new report has been published compiling YouTubers who earned the most money this year in ad revenue and merchandise earnings. Ranking in at #1 is PewDiePie.
And I feel oh so poor right now.
Yes, 100%.
PewDiePie, to remind you guys, is a huge YouTuber. In fact, the first individual YouTuber to hit 100 million subscribers. That is an insane amount of people who follow him on the channel. Get this. So when it comes to raking in money on a monthly basis, mind you, PewDiePie rakes in at $6.83 million when it comes to merch revenue and $1.14 million when it comes to monthly ad revenue.
You guys do the math.
That's more than some people make in an entire lifetime.
It's insane. Again.
Mind-boggling.
She's so shook by it, but it's true. It's that ad revenue plus all the merch. And also, I think it just speaks to the power of gamers because there was actually most of the top 10 YouTubers who were the highest paid in the past year were gamers.
Yes, 100%. And here's the thing, though. I want to, people are probably questioning, like, well, how do they come up with these numbers or whatnot? And I'm going to read this verbatim so that I don't get it wrong. So Purple Moon Promotional Products is the company who compiled the report, and they used a tool called Selfie,
which is like a money calculator.
Yeah,
like a YouTube
they literally call it the YouTube money calculator. It determines the minimum and the maximum amount that a channel can earn through advertising and merchandise. And per Selfie, your income as a YouTuber estimates will be calculated based on other YouTubers who are similar to you. Hence why we see a lot of gamers in this top list. And from there,
they're feeding the beast.
Right. And from there, they take the average product price across all their stores and use previously calculated purchase likelihood, and then they calculate the range of potential income. Wow, I should have took a finance class because I don't know what any of that.
I knew some of those words. Okay, not all, but some of them. But ad revenue is something you hear a lot across all kinds of different businesses, but certainly with YouTube, and that again is like YouTube pays their partners like PewDiePie and all your favorite YouTubers a cost per click. Yeah. So they either get paid for someone watching the advertising, or if that pre-roll ad lasts longer than 30 seconds. So at least 30 or longer. But guys, coming in at #2 was Dude Perfect. And #3, Dan TDM.
And these are people, too, who have millions and millions of subscribers. In fact, Dude Perfect has 45 million, and Dan TDM has 22 million. It's so funny to me because we mentioned, obviously, a lot of the similarities here that they're gamers. Someone told me, I kid you not, Denny, years ago, that I should go into being a YouTube personality for gaming specifically. I'm not kidding you. This was about 5 years ago that someone told me this, back when I actually was working for a financial advisory firm, which is so funny because I know nothing about finance. But I should have listened to
Well, because it is an industry that thrives on YouTube, as we're seeing even with this list. And it's also why you might not see some of your favorite YouTube creators in the top 10. You know, you think about how often we've talked about Tana Mojo, you know, James Charles. They're not on that top 10 list.
Because, well, their content thrives off of their drama and their real life stories and whatnot. I want to bring in our producer, Brianna. I know you're probably like, your jaw's probably dropped just as ours is. It's just like hearing how much these people are raking in per month.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out when are we starting our YouTube channel so we can get those ads going. I can get some coins.
I know. Can the Downlow get on this top, at least maybe 50? Get the top 50?
See, I can't really hear you because my earpiece isn't working, but I heard you through there. Yeah, we got to start a YouTube channel.
We got to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I got you.
Now, Brianna,
we can game together. I think probably the reason they told you to game is people probably like to see gamers who don't play video games.
Especially females too, because the actual industry is so dominated by males who are gaming. Do I look like a gamer? Brianna, do you and I have the faces for a gamer?
We do. We should just go ahead and
rounding the corner now, going up the hill, down the hill, turning the corner. Oh, I collected my coins!
Speaking of turning the corner, I mean, I'm going to just move on and tell you guys that. If you're wondering if Jake Paul's on the list, don't worry. He might not be top 10, but he does come in at #12 on the list, bringing in $1.4 million in the last year. So he's still on there. He's still collecting his own coin. I know.
So much money. But you know what? You know who else is collecting coin out there? A true hustler.
Yeah.
Stormi Webster, you guys. Yes, as in Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott 1-year-old daughter. She may not have made the highest paid YouTubers list, but you know what?
She's got time.
She is making the red carpet her own, you guys.
Yes.
She and her mom, Kylie, hit the red carpet alongside her dad, Travis Scott, last night. Look at how cute she is.
Truly still in the show. This, of course, is at the premiere of her dad, Travis's new Netflix documentary, Look, Mom, I Made It. I mean, look at that face.
Denny.
I can't get over it.
She is so beautiful.
A star in the making, truly.
She is already a star because, as you told me this morning,
Yeah.
this girl's got the producer credit on this documentary.
On the doc, you guys, Stormi is credited as a producer, so of course she had to make her red carpet debut at the premiere. I mean, she is...
Look at her. She's like, don't mess with me.
She's part of the reason why this documentary is going to be so beloved by fans, because obviously the doc does give fans a look at the rapper's life leading up to the release of Astroworld, but what we get is some really intimate and sweet moments between Stormi and her dad, and of course Kylie as well. In fact, one thing to note by watching the documentary, you guys, is Travis fans are also Stormi fans. At one point, the crowd at one of his shows just starts chanting her name. He's looking out to the crowd, they spot them, and they're just like, Stormi, Stormi.
Well, because look at that face. I mean, she is the star of the show. Now, I haven't had a chance to watch the documentary yet, but I know a lot of people are talking about it. Brianna, Denny, you both have watched it, right?
Yes. In fact, were you surprised by how often we got to, or I guess how much footage there was of Stormi? Because there were some really, really
intimate moments
and family videos and stuff like that. It was really sweet. What'd you think, Dee?
She was in there quite a bit, and I loved it. Stormi is my favorite of the Kardashian kids. She's just so adorable. So every time that he brought her out or would have like a sweet little moment with her and Kylie, it was really heartwarming to see. Made me want to have kids.
Right?
I'm like, maybe I should have kids. Maybe I should have a family.
It's kind of cool to see this side of Travis, though, because we know him as the rapper, you know, this guy who's just who shreds the stage. But, you know, the Proud Papa, he shared videos of Stormi's sonogram.
I was going to say, how intimate did we get? Wow. I mean, this is really intimate. Oh, look at him, kissing her stomach.
Like, freaking out. He's just, like, so excited for this baby
he wasn't
girl.
kissing her stomach. He was looking.
He's not, he do it.
Never mind.
Right?
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
funny. He was actually really concerned by how hard the doctor was pressing the thing down on her stomach. He's like, is that too hard?
Look at this. You guys,
That's
honestly,
really
this is probably one of my favorite moments coming up right here. Travis tells a sweet story about how his baby girl, how Stormi stopped crying as soon as he walked over to her. Take a look.
She was on the table, right? As soon as she got born, right, she was crying hard as and the nurse was like, and then Kai mom was like walked over to her, like trying to calm her down. She was still crying. I walked over. As soon as I walked over there, stopped crying. As soon as I walked away, start crying. They handed her to Kylie, stopped crying. Crazy.
Oh, that is so
sweet?
precious. One thing that I do love about Kylie and Travis is, you know, a lot of people will criticize their relationship as parents, especially because it's like, oh, well, you have enough money to nannies and this and all of that. But at the end of the day, I feel like they are, they're very hands-on with Stormi.
You can tell, especially watching this documentary. I mean, the fact that Stormi and Kylie went with him nearly everywhere, I should say, on the Astroworld tour shows just how committed they are as a family, you know, especially in this crazy business. And speaking of crazy,
I was gonna say, and the business.
Yeah.
How much of that side of his life? Obviously, we're seeing literally he's in a GYN's office and going through an ultrasound. This is the personal, but how much of the professional did we see, or was there anything that you guys came across that you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that, or?
I guess this part was less of a surprise, but they did show some really intense moments with fans, right, B?
Yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
showed, sorry. Yeah, they showed like a lot. I never realized how crazy and intense his fans really are, and what I love is like he does like a lot of interaction with his fans as well. So like, see, he gave his fans like his shoes in the middle of the concert. Like there were people like breaking down barriers to his shows.
Right.
Obviously, like he starts off the documentary talking about when he was arrested for inciting a riot, and it's just like you really see like it's almost like people are going to see like the Rolling Stones or something.
Wow.
They're mosh pitting.
His
like
impact.
It's so true.
very intense.
But what's so amazing about this documentary, and I will say really great about full-rounded music documentaries like this is that you get that business side, you get to see concert footage and the fans, you get to see those intimate family moments, but also we do get some tea, you know, good and bad. Starting with the good, Travis actually opens up about getting Drake on sicko mode. Brianna, maybe you can speak more to that.
Yeah, so there's a scene where he basically plays Drake's verse in sicko mode for the first time. And if you remember when sicko mode came out, everybody was thinking that verse was Drake kind of like dissing Kanye, which is his baby mama's brother-in-law. So in the song, Drake says checks over stripes, which is like Nike over Adidas, which is Adidas is Kanye's brand, and he says like crept down the block, made it right. And when he says both of those two lines, which people associate with Kanye, Travis kind of goes crazy and is like excited about them. He's like, oh yeah, these are great, we're back. So it's like interesting to see. It's like, did you know it was about Kanye, or were you just thought it was good? I don't know, but I thought it was interesting.
I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because watching this, how hyped he is. I think he's hyped on how sick, no pun intended, that verse is and how it adds to an already a huge banger. You know what I'm saying? Like it's magic.
100%. Speaking of magic, I'm curious, did he talk about the backlash with the Super Bowl at all in the doc?
Yes, he
did.
did.
He did.
So he didn't necessarily like talk about it specifically, but he does kind of address it. They show it. So like they show how excited he is getting ready for the Super Bowl, and they kind of just play news clips of anchors talking about the backlash that he received, and they played a clip, I think, of Akon on TMZ kind of supporting him and saying, you know, well, why wouldn't he be performing at one of the biggest events in the world? Like, it's not like we're always having these black artists performing there. Like, this is important. So he didn't like address it head on, but he brought up the situation in the documentary, which was
obviously
important.
there was a lot of backlash with Maroon 5 headlining the Super Bowl in light of the Colin Kaepernick drama, and then the Maroon 5 invited Travis Scott to perform, and I feel like part of the backlash was also the fact with like, why is Travis just a sideline performer, right? Why is he just a supporting act when he's having this huge year at Astro World? They're like just headline the whole halftime show, but he did make the appearance. And I thought it was super fly.
I know, I was going to say, he made his mark to where if he wants to do it in the future, I think he'd be a great headliner. But that's besides the point.
Exactly.
You know,
he's still a star, though. He's a huge star. And you guys should check out the documentary. It's streaming now on Netflix.
Well, you guys have me at Stormi. So.
Right? Exactly.
And you know what? From one star to the next, this time we're talking about Lil Nas X. The 20-year-old star has been nominated for a CMA.
A CMA?
Country Music Award. He is up for Musical Event of the Year for his Old Town Road remix with Billy Ray Cyrus. And you know what? I am a huge country music fan, so it's like Christmas morning to me when the nominations come out. And this one I was so surprised by because of obviously, you know, a lot of backlash when the song first came out and it being pulled from country charts. You know, the whole controversy. Is it country? Is it not country? But you know what? It got a nod from the Country Music Association, and I'm not the only one who's stoked for this. Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus are both really excited. They both have taken to their social media to share their gratitude for the Country Music Association. Here's Lil Nas X's tweet saying, thank you guys for this nomination.
And then Billy Ray chimed in. He said, thank you, Country Music. Just found out we're nominated for Musical Event of the Year. Woohoo! This, of course, after they collected a VMA on Monday, right, for Old Town Road. But it does beg the question, because I asked you about this specific category, what exactly makes it eligible for the CMAs?
Well, don't you worry, I got the receipts for you per the Country Music Association. And if you guys want to pull up these graphics right here, a musical event is defined as a collaboration of two or more people, either or all of whom are known primarily as a country artist. They must have performed together as a unit on a country single or country album. Meaning, when I first read this for the first time, my biggest takeaway is okay, this is the country music establishment finally, or at least the association, finally acknowledging that Old Town Road is a country single. Is this a country song?
Because again, you guys will remember, Billboard actually yanked Old Town Road from the country charts, making it ineligible, saying it wasn't considered a country song according to them. So for them to get recognized by the CMAs in this way is major. It's huge.
And you know what?
They have a chance too, don't they?
They do have a chance.
Yeah.
You know what? To be honest with you, I hope that Lil Nas X goes to the actual event in November and he holds his head up high because he's going to be surrounded by a lot of country music icons, a lot of execs, a lot of people who probably, to be honest, doubt him.
Absolutely.
And maybe don't consider him to be country. But you know what? I hope he goes there and hopefully maybe even comes home with some hardware.
And we're, of course, talking about Old Town Road and Lil Nas X, so I don't want to make it too heavy, but I will say that track has transcended genres. It's not, it's for everybody.
Yes.
Everybody's bumping Old Town Road. Celebs alike want to hop on the remix. Lil Nas X has said that there's no more remixes,
There's no more because
but
there's 15,000 of them.
if Joe Jonas had it his way, he'd want to make the cut, okay?
Country music and a Jonas brother in the same segment? Wow.
I know. Lil Nas X actually responded to this Instagram or this tweet from Joe saying, I'm going to let you on Panini, don't worry. Panini, of course, the next single after Old Town Road from Lil Nas X. He performed it at the VMAs, but the
thing is like, as much as I would love Joe on a Panini remix, I thought we were all on board for a Gordon Ramsay remix. Like, this was from Lil Nas X's Instagram recently, saying that he was trying to get Gordon on, and Gordon had responded saying, tell me more. But you know what? Here's the thing. Maybe like Gordon, Joe, and Lil Nas X could do a Panini remix.
I'm sure they'll do more than one.
You think so?
I mean, he did like 30 Old Town Road remixes. If he wants Panini to be like Old Town Road, he'll probably do more remixes.
Yeah.
Lil Nas X's EP is becoming an anthology series where there's like multiple remixes per song. I'll tell you that. Well, you know who could use some of Gordon Ramsay's help? Popeyes. Okay? Popeyes is our most viral post, y'all. And this is why we can't have nice things, because of course they announced their new chicken sandwich. We tried it here on the download, and y'all loved it so much. You were lining up the block, and now they're completely sold out.
Like, and not just for the day either. Like, we don't know when they're gonna be back, other than back soon. Like,
yes.
What?
Do we do this?
Do we run out of? Okay, I'm not gonna. Chickens?
Well, here's why it's going viral, though. One, because everyone got in on this chicken sandwich, this new chicken sandwich, and other fast food chains were getting in on the action. Then people were loving the chicken sandwich. And look, at Popeyes even posted this video on their social media about why they're sold out, because y'all went ham.
I know. Listen, I know I didn't really pay attention in finance class, but I do know a little something about supply and demand, and the demand was high for these, and now the supply is low.
And that's why the internet is upset. It's like, how does a fried chicken place run out of fried chicken?
Well, they were a promotional item, obviously, as we mentioned. So
you love that chicken from Popeyes until Popeyes runs out of that chicken.
But they couldn't have anticipated that they would be this huge viral moment where everybody and their brother and their mother and their cousin and their sisters and their friends were lining up the streets to get their hands on these chicken sandwiches.
And honestly, that's why they teased in that video that don't worry, like, we're going to be coming back for good.
Savage, we don't run out of chicken sandwiches. But you're closed on Sundays.
Again, I think you're right, though. It's because it was promotional, and I don't think it was supposed to be on the menu permanently. But according to Popeyes, that's going to change. Oh, guys.
We're going to leave you on it.
It'll be there now. We'll just have to watch this video over and over until it comes back, whenever it comes back permanently to the menu.
Brianna, let's never forget this moment. Let's never forget us biting into that fried chicken sandwich for the first time from Popeyes.
And it was so good.
What a day.
It was really good.
I don't think we've had a better day on the download or at work. I mean, the three of us were just, we were loving it.
We even finished them after, too.
We
That's
really
how good
ate the
they
whole
were.
thing. R.I.P.
Better times.
Popeyes fried chicken sandwiches for now.
But you at least made content for us. Thank you so much.
I know. We love that chicken from Popeyes. All right, guys. That does it for the download.
I'm hungry,
I know. Now I'm hungry. Bye, B.